Naya heard somebody calling out her name. She put her head down, ignoring them, and kept walking. She wasn't in the mood to talk to anybody. She was hoping that whoever it was would assume she had music blasting from her headphones or had really bad hearing and get too embarrassed to continue yelling her name. They were in the downtown library, and nobody was supposed to be speaking much louder than a whisper. A couple seconds later, though, a hand settled on her shoulder, and when she turned around, she came face to face with her best friend Prosper, grinning down at her. Even though they'd barely talked to each other for almost a month, standing so close, Naya could already feel her center of gravity being tugged toward him. This was exactly why she'd started pulling back from her in the first place. She hadn't known what to do with her feelings for him. It was better to sequester herself, figure out what was happening and how to bury her feelings back underground. But here he was now. Hi, she said. What are you doing here? Prosper slid his hand up and over his low fade, breaking eye contact with Naya. He shrugged, told her he was looking for a couple books for a paper. She squinted at him. She could tell that he was lying because why would he be skipping school just for that? But if he didn't want to tell her what he was really doing here, she wasn't going to push him. His brows furrowed. I'm really sorry about your brother, he said, voicing the text he'd sent, the one she'd ignored. He, on the other hand, didn't need to ask her why she was ditching school. News of her older brother's shocking and spectacularly public fuck-up a week ago had spread through the school fast. Her parents had decided it was best for Charles to be shipped off to military academy, while Naya was left to deal with the stares, whispers, and tragic looks directed her way. Today, she'd reached her limit and had decided to dip. Yeah, me too, Naya said, looking down at her pink and gray pumas. She should go now. Leave their conversation early before she said or did anything stupid. Just as she was about to come up with an excuse to take off, Prosper cut in and asked Naya to come help him find a book, a biography on Muhammad Ali. He looked almost desperate, as if his entire future depended on the answer she would give him, as if be left wandering between the shelves for all of eternity if she didn't say yes. Naya said yes. When they got to the section of biographies, Prosper grinned and said, So, what are you about to wear to prom? I know you already have your entire outfit planned out, right? Naya turned around and pretended to scan the shelves before admitting, I'm not going. I'm not really feeling it anymore, I guess. She knew her words would sound foreign to Prosper, who had been listening to her go on about prom for the majority of the year. Of course, she already had her entire outfit tucked away. She was one of those girls who unabashedly looked forward to the day, refusing to feign indifference just because that was in vogue amongst her classmates. But a lot had changed in the weeks since Charles's debacle. Anticipating her first prom didn't feel so electrifying anymore. To be honest, she'd virtually forgotten it was happening a few days from now. Prosper slid in front of Naya so that they were standing face to face and asked her how she was doing in the middle of everything going on with her brother. In the years that they had been best friends, he had always had a way of hearing her, even when she hadn't said a single word. If she tried to lie, Prosper would know. Naya ran her fingers along the dusty book spines and let a second of silence settle between them. When she admitted that sometimes she felt like a ghost in her own life. At home, she'd become basically invisible, and at school, she couldn't escape the loud gawking everybody kept directing her way. Life was just really exhausting. Suddenly, Prosper grabbed Naya's hand and pulled her through the stacks. Let's go to the fourth floor. This was not the response she had been expecting. They rode up the elevator, hands still clasped, as Prosper's silent determination bounced off the lime green walls. When the doors opened, they stepped into the middle of an artery, or at least that's what the Red Hall of the downtown Seattle Public Library had always reminded Naya of. A couple yards down the corridor, Prosper came to an abrupt stop. Remember when we came up here for the first time and I freaked out, he asked. Naya nodded. Prosper had barely been able to breathe from the unexpected claustrophobia the halls had brought on. He continued, You talked me through it until I could actually see how cool the space was, until it didn't freak me out anymore. And now it's one of my favorite places to be. For what it's worth, no matter what, you'll never be a ghost to me. Naya leaned up against the wall, the smooth, solid walls, closed her eyes, and took in a deep breath. Whether she spent a month or a year trying to distance herself from Prosper, she knew it wouldn't matter. She couldn't get rid of the love she felt for this boy that easily. How had she even thought excising him from her life would ever work? Somehow she had to figure out a way to hold on to her best friend while masking her feelings for him from him.
My name is LaVon Hardison, and I'm delighted that I got to write a song to Helen Thomas's short story, Maybe This Time. I really enjoyed this story. I really enjoyed how quickly it grabbed my attention. It just pulled me into the character's world, and being a young adult and the awkwardness and all the bubbling of feelings and all the different layers of what's going on in life, in school, at home, and in the heart. I really think she did a great job showing that complexity in just a few pages. So I really enjoyed making a song around it. It's called Center of My Gravity. And thank you, Miss Thomas, for giving me such good inspiration. You asked where you've been, I laughed and stuttered. Looking at my shoes, been busy, I lied. What you doing here, being cool as I flutter upon a hot wind of wanting and wanting to go? Don't you know I get tossed in the wake of your being? Gotta hold myself together lest I fall. How when I am near you I should really be going. Something that you do to me, to the center of my gravity. Felt like old times, but I knew that it wasn't. Suddenly you're smelling good to me. When you smile like that, why is my heart pumping? My mind wants to write this play, but you control the plot. Don't you know I get tossed in the wake of your being? Gotta hold myself together lest I fall. How when I am near you I should really be going. Something that you do to me, to the center of my gravity. Falling, stalling, try not to say. Maybe this longing will get in the way. Got no time to talk about the weather. Time is never perfect, never right. It came out like a storm, howling wind. I love you. You look surprised, but I tell you I just had to say